Have you ever felt a hollow space inside you, as if something essential were missing, even when everything in your life seems perfectly in place? Maybe you have a successful career, friends all around you, relationships that others envy, and yet, that persistent feeling that nothing is ever enough refuses to fade. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore why this emptiness arises, what it truly signifies, and most importantly how it can serve as an invitation to understand yourself on a level you've never imagined. We won't be chasing quick fixes or instant happiness formulas. Instead, we'll confront the raw, unvarnished truth, the kind most people prefer to ignore. Picture this. You come home after a long, draining day at work, collapse onto the couch, grab your phone, and start scrolling endlessly through social media. Like, comment, share, and yet, amid all this, there's a subtle, almost imperceptible feeling that something is missing. It's a void no notification, no shit can ever fill. And here's the question no one seems to ask. What if this emptiness isn't a problem to be fixed, but a signal, a quiet call to see something hidden, maybe even from yourself? But before we dive into this truth, we need to confront something uncomfortable, something that challenges the idea that being busy, connected, or superficially satisfied with life is enough. Something that has the power to completely shift how you perceive this feeling that keeps insisting on showing up. The emptiness you feel is not a flaw within you. It's not a moral failing, a defect of character, or a sign of weakness. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's an alert, a signal that something deep in your life is demanding attention. Viktor Frankl, the Austrian psychiatrist who survived the horrors of concentration camps, said that the feeling of existential emptiness arises when we drift away from what gives our lives meaning. It's not punishment, it's a quiet call. Think about it. Have you noticed how some people chase pleasures, achievements, and external validation, yet still seem burdened by a persistent unease? They strive, plan, and accumulate experiences, but when night falls, the silent echo of emptiness remains, softly knocking, reminding them that something essential has been neglected. In modern life, this emptiness often appears in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. You might feel a quiet frustration after completing yet another work project, as if nothing truly matters. Or you might sense emotional exhaustion after social interactions that should have brought joy, but leave drained and unfulfilled. Sometimes, it's just a vague sensation, hard to put into words. A persistent nothingness hiding behind activities, relationships, and distractions. But why does this happen? Why, even when we seemingly have everything we're supposed to want, does the emptiness insist on staying? The answer, though uncomfortable, is clear. Emptiness is a mirror reflecting our disconnection from what truly matters. It arises when we live lives shaped by external expectations, by what society says we should pursue, instead of looking inward and asking, what truly gives meaning to my existence? Jung called this the disconnection of the soul. The soul, he said, cannot be satisfied with shallow goals or fleeting distractions. It longs for authenticity, for the courage to face our own fears, shadows, and deepest desires. The emptiness we feel is a signal that we are ignoring this call. It's our mind trying to tell us, you are living someone else's life, for the life the world expects of you, not your own. And here's something few have the courage to admit. Feeling empty is not something to be ashamed of. On the contrary, it's a necessary step in any journey of self. It's the awareness that life cannot be filled solely with immediate pleasures or external achievements. It's the discomfort we need forcing us to pause, reflect, and perhaps reconsider the entire direction we've been taking. Imagine, for a moment, that you're driving a car at high speed. You see the needle climbing, feel the rush of adrenaline, and then suddenly realize you're way out of fuel. You can't go any further. You need to stop and refuel. Emptiness works in much the same way. It signals that the soul needs real fuel, meaning, purpose, connection to what is genuinely significant. Ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. It only amplifies frustration and anxiety. Frankl, in his book Man's Search for Meaning, describes how those who survived the concentration camps weren't necessarily the strongest physically, but those who found meaning given the tiniest bar that allowed them to endure suffering. Emptiness, then, is an invitation to this very same quest. It pushes us to ask, what moves me? What makes my life worth living, even in the face of pain, routine, and uncertainty? In modern life, we respond to this emptiness in different ways. Often unconsciously, some dive into relentless work, believing productivity equals purpose. Others seek solace in superficial relationships or fleeting experiences, trying to fill a space that demands depth. Social media, consumption, professional success, all of it can feel like fuel, but it's false fuel. It lights up for a moment but never satisfies the need for genuine meaning. And this is precisely why emptiness feels so uncomfortable. It doesn't bend to external distractions, it demands inner attention. It forces us to confront questions we'd rather avoid. Who are we, really? What are our values? Are we living according to our own truth, or the truth the world expects of us? The paradox is profound. We feel emptiness because we are aware of something greater than our current, superficial lives. Without that awareness, we wouldn't feel anything at all. It's as if emptiness is the soul's compass, pointing toward regions of ourselves yet unexplored, inner territories that must be known if we are to live authentically. So, before seeking quick fixes, before trying to fill this emptiness with external distractions, consider facing it as a silent ally. It is trying to guide us, showing that there is something within that needs attention, care, and understanding. It is the voice of our essence, asking for space to exist, to be recognized, to finally be heard. But if emptiness is a signal rather than a flaw, an inevitable question arises. How do we interpret it? How do we listen to this voice without getting lost in the modern distractions that surround us? How can we turn this discomfort into a genuine opportunity for self-discovery and emotional freedom? In the chapters ahead, we will explore exactly that. We will uncover how modern society feeds emptiness, how we disconnect from ourselves without even realizing it, and, most importantly, how we can begin to transform this seemingly empty space into a source of meaning and authenticity. Because, in the end, what we call emptiness is not a hole to be feared. It is an invitation to find something truly worthwhile within ourselves, something that neither distractions nor superficial success could ever give us. When emptiness appears as a signal, the human instinct is often to ignore it. We try to fill it with anything quick, easy, and accessible. We buy things we don't need, engage in shallow relationships, dive endlessly into social media, and consume infinite streams of content. But the paradox is cruel. The more we try to escape emptiness through distractions, the stronger it becomes. Zygmunt Bauman called this the liquid society, a world where nothing is fixed, nothing is enough, nothing satisfies us in a lasting way. Modernity offers us endless options for pleasure and entertainment, but each one is fleeting. A like, a notification, a momentary achievement, they all pass quickly, leaving the same silent echo behind. Nothing truly fills the emptiness. Consider the daily routine of so many people today. Waking up early, working long hours, compulsively checking their phones, watching shows to escape anxiety, and going to bed only to repeat the cycle tomorrow. Everything is activity, everything is motion, but very little is presence. The emptiness remains, hidden among tasks, entertainment, and obligations. What does this reveal about us? That our distractions are only just habits. They are attempts to escape something that demands courage. Emptiness forces us to look inward, to confront ourselves. Yet most people prefer to plug their ears and run toward external noise, toward the constant hustle that gives only a temporary sense of fulfillment. Nietzsche wrote that humanity often creates false idols to avoid facing its own existence. Today, these idols can be consumerism, fame, appearance, status, or even shallow relationships. They distract us from what truly matters. Understanding who we are, discovering our authentic passions, and uncovering what gives our lives meaning. A common example is the endless scroll on social media. You open the app for just a few minutes, and before you know it, hours have passed. Every feed seems to offer connection, novelty, and belonging, but it's all superficial. Likes and comments create a fleeting sense of recognition, but they do not fill the inner space that continues to call for meaning. In the end, you feel even more isolated and unsatisfied. If the emptiness has grown while you try to ignore it, and don't be mistaken, the same applies to shallow relationships. We can surround ourselves with friends, meet new people, attend parties and social gatherings. But if our connections remain purely external, lacking emotional depth or authenticity, the emptiness persists. It is not resolved by the quantity of interactions, but by the quality of presence. The problem, then, is not a lack of activity, it's the nature of the activity we choose. Trying to escape emptiness through distractions is like attempting to put out a fire with a feather, illusory and temporary. Emptiness demands real attention, reflection, and the courage to feel and question. Ignoring it only makes it more persistent, more urgent, until, eventually, it forces us to face the truth. Jung suggested that this constant flight from our own shadows is one of the great dilemmas of modernity. We avoid feeling pain, frustration, or discomfort, but these emotions don't disappear. They simply transform into symptoms, anxiety, and silent dissatisfaction. Emptiness is, in essence, a shadow of the solar reminder that something deep and unresolved lives within us. And here lies the irony. The more we try to distract ourselves, the more we realize that emptiness isn't just a passing feeling. It becomes a persistent reminder that we are living only partially on a superficial level. Modern society teaches us to seek fulfillment externally, but true meaning, real satisfaction, will never be found there. It resides within us, waiting to be acknowledged. But if distractions are illusions, and emptiness is inevitable, an unavoidable question arises. How can we face it consciously, without getting lost in the constant escape modern society offers? How can we transform this discomfort into a genuine opportunity for In the chapters ahead, we will explore this journey. We will uncover how we disconnect from ourselves, how social pressures amplify the sense of emptiness, and, most importantly, how we can learn to listen to the voice that insists on calling towards something deep. All distractions,